speaking of maturity, let's get back to Melbourne where Hawthorn knocked off the D's today. And there's probably no one more mature, I suppose, than Jack Gunston in the game right now. 19 goals he's had in the last 5 weeks, and he was incredible, pivotal again today.
Yeah, well, he kicked 3-4, so he could have kicked 7 almost, which we know he had that equal career high of 6, but his ability in the third term or the fourth term to go forward and hit the scoreboard and impact, but yeah, he just seems to be getting better and better, and he just oozes class, doesn't he? His finishing, whether it's on the run, whether it's off a step from just inside 50 there, he has a lot of live wires around him, but he just ends up being the level-headed figure down there in the forward line. And I think a few weeks ago, or at the start of the season, they wouldn't have had him in their best 22 or 23 at the Hawks. And now he's becoming their leading goal kicker. He's a goal off the Coleman at the moment and just proving to be one of their best players in their forward line.
Almost an All-Australian, you'd say, probably the halfway mark.
Oh, he'd have to be in the conversation for it, for sure. When you 2 kicks off the Coleman, absolutely, but his consistency as well. He's been very impressive week in, week out.
A bit of a social media storm, and a storm, I guess, in media that's going to build over the next 48 hours over a free kick that wasn't paid to Cozzy Pickett, a tripping one in the goal square. Kate, what was your take on this? The umpire, I guess, just says that he didn't see it. The goal umpire can't pay the decision. He's in the goal square just checking for the touch. Is it excusable to miss one like this? We saw the umpires saying they didn't see the Lockie Schultz incident where he was concussed on the ground. Do we expect a higher standard from umpires?
I think when you've got 4 umpires on the field, yes, 2 of those are probably going to be too far away to adjudicate on that. But you'd hope that if one is blindsided or doesn't have the right positioning, the other one's there to make that call. I think that's a clear trip. There was one last week with Bobby Hill that was slightly more contentious, but that was an absolute trip every day of the week. And then the other free kick that's still part of that play was actually a throw from James Sicily on the end of it. So that's probably 2 free kicks that's been missed in the passage of about 5 seconds. But yeah, a clear trip, and ones like that need to be called.
Max Gawn's found some fantastic form, and he came up against another guy who's been in good form, Lloyd Meek. But there was a chasm in terms of the talent, I guess, that was on there, and you were big on this.
Yeah, I think a lot of conversation's been around that All-Australian ruck, and is it Max Gawn's to lose? Is it for other players to come and take that off him? And Lloyd Meek has been a player that's been in that conversation, and rightly so. But I think today, the matchup I was looking forward to was this, and I know direct comparison of numbers doesn't sometimes tell the story, but he was everywhere. He was all over the field. His ability to get around the ground. We're going to have a look here at his afternoon, but he was everywhere. He won plenty of hit-outs for his team, put it on a platter, hit-outs to advantage, that is, and did the work himself. And he looked a bit flat in the first half, and you couldn't blame him. For 3 of his weeks now in a row, he's been probably in career best form. He had 35 last week with the travel to Perth, and in the fourth quarter, he looked like he was going to be the one that could wrestle this back into Melbourne's favour. And I think the clear comparison between him and Lloyd Meek, I think Max Gawn is still the superior ruckman when it comes to the competition, and I think he's still sort of the ruck that's sitting in the starting All-Australian team.
Well, that was a matchup that was looked at a fair way out from the game. One that was probably a bit more unexpected was Clayton Oliver tagging John Newcombe through the afternoon. Simon Goodwin spoke about it post-match, said it was premeditated to take Clary into the game as a tagger. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
Thought it'd be a great opportunity to give him a role when Newcombe would be around the ball, and I thought Clayton did a great job. Newcombe's been in great form. He's a high-quality player. Clayton's coming back into some form, and this gave him a real focus and what he could do for the team.
Now, a large part of this was because Jack Viney wasn't in the team, and it's probably great coaching to try and get Clayton Oliver back into form by playing him on a star midfielder and get him back into the swing of things. But his stats today, Clayton Oliver, probably didn't have the impact that he would have liked, even though he was playing as a tagging midfielder. He had 13 disposals, which I believe is the second lowest total of his career, which is heading towards sort of a new low. He's on $1.6 million a year. Is it acceptable to have a $1.6 million player a year as a tagger solely? Goodwin said that he could play the role moving forward. Where does it head to for Melbourne? Because Oliver has looked at other options. He's still looking at other options. Is it time for Melbourne to maybe bite the bullet, pay a bit of the salary and look to other options going forward?
Well, I think they missed the boat on this one. I think Geelong were really keen on Clayton Oliver last year in the trade period. They couldn't get the deal done. Melbourne weren't happy with how it fell. And then I think now they're sort of chasing their tail a little bit. There's a bit to play out here, and there's a lot that's going on behind the scenes around whether Clayton wants to move on, whether Melbourne want to cut their losses, but I think they missed the window of it. To be fair, though, he kept Jai Newcombe to an equal low for this season with 19 disposals. And I think it's a bit unfair to flash his disposals up on the screen when he does play that tagging role. I know it's his equal career low. He's been given a role, he's played the role, he's been able to negate, in a way, the best midfielder from the opposition. But I don't think with other players we'd probably do the direct comparison between their disposals and the taggers' disposals. But I agree with you. I think Clayton Oliver is probably not due to play that role at Melbourne. I don't think they'd ever consider him to be a tagger at that club. Yes, he needed to fill a void for Jack Viney, but I just think Melbourne have probably rested on their laurels for a year too long, or 8 months too long now, and they're trying to sort of find a way out of it or find a role for Clayton Oliver that they're happy with.
Let's take a look at the Hawks next month ahead. They've had a pretty strong start to the season, but it's going to get tough.
Yeah, it was really important that they banked this win at the MCG, and Melbourne tested them at times. In that second quarter, they were a little bit wasteful, but if you have a look at the road trips to come, so they've got Gold Coast, which is proving to be the hardest road trip in footy now, playing them up in Darwin, and then they've got Brisbane at the G, Collingwood at the G, and the Bulldogs at Marvel. Those 4 teams are probably 4 of the form teams of the competition. So it's going to be a difficult sort of 4 weeks for them, but I think we'll get a real gauge of the Hawks. They're not playing their best footy yet, but can they find their form in the next 4 weeks? Because it's going to be a very season-shaping little month for them.